In this video, I'm going to share with you my 2021 favorite makeup products, the ones that I liked the most throughout the year and used over and over again. This will be a mixture of drugstore and high-end. Some of them were indeed launched in 2021, but some are old favorites that are still my holy grails. Hi, my name is Marisa. Thank you for coming to my channel where we talk about everything beauty and lifestyle, focusing on over 50 issues. I'm very happy because this video is a collaboration with one of my oldest and best friends here on YouTube, Monique Beauty, with whom I had the pleasure of collaborating before. Lisa has a wonderful channel focusing on mature women issues just like mine, and her great quality videos range from fashion, lifestyle, skincare, and beauty from drugstore to high-end. Her channel has just exploded, which really is not a surprise for me because it really reflects her warm, natural, and appealing personality. Her video is going to be on her affordable holy grails, all under $20, and I would be extremely happy if after seeing this one you would jump into her channel and check out hers. I'm totally sure that you are going to love it. I will place the link to her video on the cards above, below on the description of this video, and at the end card. So let's start with my favorite products, and by far during 2021 my favorite sunscreen was this one, and this is the Elta Skincare UV Elements Broad Spectrum SPF 44, and this is a 100% physical sunscreen due to zinc oxide and titanium dioxide. It's tinted, and although the tint it's a little bit darker than my skin tone, I still think it works decently well. It's hydrating. It has hyaluronic acid in it, but it's not too hydrating, so I still can use it in the summer, and it doesn't leave my skin too oily, too shiny. It's fragrance-free, which I prefer because of my sensitive skin, and it's resistant to water for 40 minutes. All in all, it's by far the best 100% physical sunscreen that I have found until today, and I most definitely will continue to use it during next year. I normally don't use primers, I just use the sunscreen as a primer, but in the special occasions when I think a primer will help my makeup to last longer, the one that I prefer during 2021 is this one. It's very expensive and I use just the tiny amount, half a pump or a pump, so as you see I have a travel size. I think it will last for 1 year longer, and this is the Hourglass Veil Mineral Primer. It's mineral based, so I think it matches very well with the sunscreens I prefer, and it has that silky smoothness that helps to disguise my pores for the foundation and the afterwards makeup to adhere better to my skin. I don't think it particularly helps to control the amount of oil that comes through the makeup. I have to be honest, I have still to find the right primer for that, which I would imagine would be a primer rich in absorbing powders. If you know one that you think really works well in that regard, please leave it below in the comments for me to try next year. But for now, this is by far the best one that I have found until now. In terms of foundations, I have to say that this was a very difficult, very hard choice for me to make. But taking all possible aspects in consideration, I've decided that the best foundation that I've tried in 2021 was this one. The L'Oréal Paris True Match Nude Plumping Tinted Serum Foundation. I use it in the shade 2.3 Light. And there are several reasons why I like this one. The first is that it's very easy to apply. You can use your fingers, a brush, a foundation. I like the solid medium coverage that it has. And it lasts 7 to 8 hours looking decently well in my skin, which is a combination one. It's not perfect. I wouldn't recommend it for a dry skin because it really has a very high content of denatured alcohol. It works for me. I just need to be careful and prime and moisturize very well my cheeks, which is the area of my face which is the driest. And to be honest, I really hate this dropping mechanism. I don't understand why a pump was not used with this foundation. I'm sure there are pumps that would be able to manage the liquid consistency of the formula. This is not the most affordable of drugstore foundations, but considering its performance and considering that it matches many high-end luxury foundations, I think the price is extremely affordable. And if you don't have dry skin, I would totally recommend this one. By far the concealer that I liked and used the most in 2021 was this one, the Kosas Revealer Concealer. And I think this one is an all-rounder that will suit many of you, especially if you have a dry skin in your under eye area or all over your face, because it's very creamy, very hydrating, and it really blends into the skin very well. And despite its creaminess, it doesn't move and settle into the creases when we are careful with the amount that we apply and we spread it and tap it very well into place. It's not the most high coverage concealer that I have in my collection. I would say it has a very solid medium coverage, but it's quite enough for those days in which I'm decently looking and to take off the edge, that redness edge that is caused by rosacea that I have here on my jaw. This concealer has now jumped into my top 5 concealers, and I have recently made a video on that regard, and you can check it here on the cards below on the description of this video or at the end card. And this concealer, together with the Armani Power Fabric, are the most hydrating concealers that I have in my collection, and therefore they are the ones that I prefer to use, particularly in the winter colder months when my skin is at its driest. If you already saw one of my videos before, you probably know that I'm always complaining about my under eye area and how complicated it is. And one of the things that I particularly avoid is to use a corrector and then a concealer, because I find that when layering too many products, the probability of creasing and of products settling into the fine lines is very high. So I most definitely prefer to use a concealer that has a high coverage and it has peachiness in it to counterbalance my dark bluish under eye circles. And by far the one that I found in 2021 that works best for this task is this one, the Dior Forever Skin Correct, and in particular this shade, the 2WP, which is a shade that has warm undertones, particularly soft peach undertones. And I found with its coverage and the undertones of this shade were the best ones to disguise my bluish under eye circles and give brightness to my eye area. It's also another one that is very creamy, very easy to apply, and very resistant to creases and settling into fine lines. So although this one is definitely more expensive than the Kosas, if you can, this is definitely one that is worth the testing and the purchase. Regarding my brows, I have to say that I'm not overly precious with them. I like to fill in the outer half of my brows because I have less hairs on that area, and I was very happy to find during this year this L'Oreal Definer Brow Artist Pencil, which is exactly what I need. It's a mechanical pencil, so I don't have the extra added work of sharpening it. It's always in an extremely fine point. This one has the perfect shade for me. It's 109 Ebony, which I find is like a grayish dark brown, perfectly matching my eyebrows. I have to say that the formula in itself, it's not too powdery, it's not too waxy, just the perfect consistency as well to make it easy to apply and stay put in your brows. So really happy with this find, but by far the product that I was most happy to find and that has been my brow holy grail since then is this one, and this is the Kosas Hair Brow, and I find that it's just perfect. I use the shade dark brown, and I may even get the darker one afterwards, which I think is the black, because this one is a little bit too warm for total match with my brows, but despite that it works well. It's the best mixture that I found until now of a gel cream, a tinted one with fibers that really grabs the brows and keeps them in place. And I have to say that I've tested other products like the Glossier Boy Brow, which although has a very nice tint, doesn't have fibers and doesn't hold my brow hairs as well as this one. I've tested as well the Rosy Ink new brow product, Brow Renewed Gel. This one I don't like even as much as the Glossier Boy Brow. It really doesn't hold the brow hairs. I've also used in the past the famous Tom Ford Fiber Brow Gel that Michelle Wong likes so much, and although the shades are great and it really has fibers in it and we can see the volume that it has, on me at least it doesn't hold my brow hairs like at all. So having to choose between these two, the Tom Ford and the Kosas, by far the Kosas Hair Brow, because this one really tints, volumizes and holds my brow hairs, while this one doesn't do as good of a job, and of course it's much more expensive. Definitely my favorite find for brows during 2021. In terms of setting powders, I confess that during 2021 I didn't test new ones, and my holy grail still is the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores, because this one is by far the one that I until now have found that does the best job at controlling my oiliness in the T-zone and blurring out my pores, being at the same time extremely fine and imperceptible on the skin when we apply it with a light hand, of course. And although I don't like particularly to set my under eye area, I also can use this one for that task, although as I said, I normally avoid it. 2021 was definitely the year of blushes, cream blushes, liquid blushes, powder blushes. We have all types during this year, but I still managed to find a bronzer that I really enjoy using, and it's now amongst my top 5 bronzers, and this is the Dior Forever Natural Bronze. Comes in this compact. I have it applied today, which is in the shade 03 Soft Bronze. It's just the perfect veil of warmth to my skin, that it's not too orangey despite being on the warmer side. It has a fragrance, but it's not too overpowering and it disappears very quickly. And it's one of the silkiest powders that I have felt. Almost feels creamy to the touch. It applies very quickly, very easily. I just use a very small brush powder. This one is the brush number 11 from Wayne Goss that I like to apply in the traditional C shape. I possibly could have chosen the shade 02, a lighter one, but I like this one. I don't have to go with several layers to achieve the shade that I like. I just touch once with the powder brush and then I apply, and that's it. Quick and easy. Let's go now to eyeshadows, and this was a particularly difficult choice because I was very divided between the Mega Mothership from Pat McGrath, this one, which has a beautiful color story filled with blues and greens that I really appreciate, and also some light metallics and shimmers. And the other palette that I really loved was the Retro palette from Natasha Denona. And when this one came out, I published a review video on it, and I told you why I found this color story so appealing. Now I have to say that this year, and most especially since I cut my hair and did the buzz cut, I have been going towards more discreet eye looks, less colorful ones, and I've been mainly using soft neutrals and light pinks, dusty rose shades. And so, despite being really attracted to the color story from Pat McGrath, I ended up not using this palette as much as I thought despite its quality, and ended up using more this one, especially the more neutral and pink shades. I really didn't use any of these strong Bordeaux wine shades, but all the other neutrals I really loved and used quite a lot, together with the Glam Face palette that she released afterwards. So, taking all that in consideration, I decided that this one is definitely my favorite palette from 2021, just because it's the one that I've ended up using the most. Although I really like both of them. So this is my choice for 2021. And regarding blushes, I would like to share with you the two that I've used the most this year. One, a cream blush, and the other one, a powder blush. The cream, I have already mentioned it in the previous video, and this is the Honest Beauty one in the shade Plum Berry. I just love the formula and this shade. I find that is extremely versatile. I can pat it lightly on my cheeks and to give a soft pink berry flush, and I can build it to achieve a most definitely strong berry one. As I said, I like this formula very much. It has just the right emolliency and hydration to leave the skin with a healthy appearance, but not too glowy or shiny at all. This blush can be applied very easily with a brush, a sponge, or your hands, under a setting powder or on top of it. It's really a great formula. And by far the powder blush that I reach out the most over and over again, particularly after I've cut my hair, is this one. And this is the Pat McGrath Labs Skin Fetish Divine Blush in the shade Flirtatious. Whatever. And this is a very deceiving shade that looks very light and pale when we look at it in the compact, but I find that this one can be built from a very light wash of pink. We can apply it until we get a very clear dusty rose on your cheeks. This is the blush that I'm using today together with the bronze from Dior, and I think it's a perfect match. As it is a perfect match with the shadows from Natasha Denona's Retro palette, as you can see. Together with this shade, the formula is also a great one. I was surprised that Pat McGrath didn't choose to go with a gel formula, which, to be quite honest, I prefer, since I think it's the one that is most flattering for mature skins like mine. But that said, this powder formula works very well. It's extremely thin, extremely lightweight, and doesn't emphasize at all the texture of the skin. So despite not being a gel powder formula, it's still one that I most definitely consider appropriate for mature skins. Regarding eyeliners, I basically use two different formulas throughout the year. The ones from Victoria Beckham Beauty, the Satin Kajal Liner, which is not a new formula, and last year I really loved it as well. My favorite shades are the Cocoa and the Bronze, and I love this because they are extremely creamy and they blend like a dream when you want to make a more soft, smoky eye look. When I want an eyeliner that stays put, do not budge, and remains defined, I've discovered this year the Natasha Denona Macro Tech Eye Crayon, and these really are also very creamy, but contrary to those Kajal liners, these ones are more like a gel type, and they really stay put, and if you wait a little bit and then you pass your hands through it, it will not blend. It really stays defined and crisp. I particularly use this one, which is the brown shade, but I also have the black one. But both of these in their unique formulas are very, very good. In terms of mascaras, I have to say that I am, and I think always will be, a tubing mascara fan. I like mascaras that really elongate my lashes and do not give me any hard work to remove. So tubing formulas are a must-have for me, and in that regard, my holy grail still remains the same, is the Hourglass Unlocked. This is by far the best tubing mascara that I have ever used. It's really remarkable, the ability that it has to provide volume and to elongate the lashes and still be a tubing formula and coming out in little clots of product without being hard at all to remove. The best tubing formula that I found this year is this one by Victoria Beckham Beauty. And if I had to compare these two, I would say that the Hourglass Unlocked is the one that I would choose for a glam situation, for a party, for a night out, while the Victoria Beckham Beauty is the one that I would use on a day-to-day basis because it gives a more natural look to the lashes. It doesn't volumize the lashes as much as this one, and it elongates well, but again, not as much as this one. And I also like the brush with the light curve. But as I said, if I had to choose between this one and this one, this will continue to be my first choice. And finally, regarding lips, I have to say that this here has been a Lisa Eldridge one. And I have spent the year doing several combinations between her lip liners, her lipsticks, and her lip glosses. And between the lipsticks, the ones that I use the most are the ones in her Lucent formula because it's so easy to apply and comfortable to wear and hydrating. So for instance, today I'm using the lip liner in the shade Blush, the Lucent lipstick in the shade Rose Official. If I went outside, I would have placed a little bit of the blush lip gloss because it would give an extra protection to the lips. But since I'm staying at home filming, I ended up using only the lipstick, and this is enough to provide the beautiful color, comfort, and hydration to the lips. And just the right amount of shine. Not like a lip gloss, but not a matte one either. I really like this combo. It's definitely one of my favorite ones. So what do you think of my favorite products? Do you like them yourself? Have I inspired you to try and test at least one of them? Leave your thoughts below in this video's comments. And since we are close to Christmas but haven't reached it yet, take a look at my video with my Christmas gift ideas that I've linked here on the cards and below on the description video. If you are still missing a gift for some of your loved ones, perhaps my video will help you. And of course, please don't forget to see Lisa Monique's video. I'm totally sure you are going to love it. Just say hi from me to her in the video's comments. I would like to thank you very much for the time that you have just spent with me, and until next time, bye. Ada, I think minha bebê. Olha para ali. Olha. Olha aqui. Olha. Olha ali. Olha. Turururu. Turururu. Parou, meu amor. Deixa eu ver. Deixa eu continuar. Também. Vazou? Tu vazou? Não. Lá, lá, lá. Lá, lá, lá.